What is up, guys? Welcome to another video. Another video means another dopamine high, because I had to buy something to feel something, and today we are taking a look at a special figure, a figure I did not think or many people thought was going to happen, and that is Jazwares Halo the Spartan Collection Arbiter Thelphadom. This is his Halo 5 iteration. Now the thing is, no one expected this because this is the Spartan collection, so we figured we were only going to get Spartans, but Jazwares decided to bless us with the Arbiter, and I know that the Spartan killer, the hunter from Jaeger, that's what his name is, he has been announced for the Spartan collection as well, and I can't wait for when he comes out. But I think it is awesome that we're getting an elite for the Spartan collection. Hopefully we can get some other Covenant with troops, or just, a normal, Halo 3, Halo 2 Arbiter. And yeah, so I know I'm a little late to this video. This guy's been out for a bit, and a lot of people were getting him, but for some reason GameStop was taking their sweet time with me. But now I finally have the boy. I have time to make the video. So with all that said, let's jump right into it. And then looking at the box, and this is a pretty big box. Like, of course we got a elite in the Spartan collection scaling, so of course the box is huge. He comes with all of his accessories, everything is looking good. And then flipping it over to the back, we can get a nice big picture of the boy with a list of what's included. And then looking at the bottom, we can see the rest of Wave 5 and a deluxe Master Chief that I'm not getting because I already have too many Master Chiefs. But just opening them up, first impressions, everything is looking promising, but we know that I have a love-hate relationship with the Spartan collection. So with all that said, let's see if this love-hate relationship is gonna get even more love-filled or hate-filled. So starting off with articulation, in the head region, you can rotate his head 360 degrees, and you can bend it up and down. Pretty decent amount, but that's pretty much all he can do. He can't really tilt his head side to side, and that actually kind of bums me out. And that's because if you have him pointing like a weapon down range and you want him to look down range with his weapon, you can't really do that. So it kind of looks like he's always presenting a weapon to you. Then getting into his arms, he can bring up the unarmored arm a good amount, and the armored arm slightly a little less higher than the unarmored one, but still a good amount. Then you can rotate his bicep and his shoulder, which is always good to see. And then the forearm can be brought up a really good amount, like he can touch his own shoulder, so that's really awesome to see. And then of course moving down to the hand, it's the same formula as every other figure. Rotate it 360 degrees and bend the wrist pretty much however you want. And just going to the armored arm to test its articulation, you can rotate it at the bicep and shoulder as well, and you can bring up the forearm to his, so you can touch his shoulders as well. So good to see that the armor isn't limiting his range of motion. And then obviously the hand, rotate 360, bend the wrist however you want. So really good range of motion in the arms for our boy Arbiter. And bringing it on down to his torso, he can kind of move his torso better than some Spartans actually can. He can kind of bend back and forth, not a whole lot, but that articulation is there, and you can't really rotate his torso at all. So at least there's something there. And one interesting thing about Arbiter's torso is that it always wants to spring forward, so rather than putting it wherever you want and adjusting it however you want, you have to adjust the body based around the torso, which can be a pain in the butt for trying to put him in certain poses, at least in my opinion. So is it the end of the world? No, but is it kind of a pain in the ass? Just a little bit. And then bringing it to his legs, he can sit down in a chair or lay his legs out if you really wanted him to. I don't know why you'd have him doing that. And then you can rotate his legs 360 degrees, and the only way you're getting him to do splits is if you kind of bring his legs outward, but that range of motion is there for you, which is good to see. Then getting to the knee area, of course there's two joints because it's an elite, but there's a good amount of back and forth movement on the top and bottom joint of the knee area. I don't know my biology, so I don't know the proper term for what kind of leg he has, so please don't crucify me, but you can politely tell me down in the comment section below. And then you can rotate his foot 360 degrees and bend it back and forth and pretty much angle it or pivot it however you want. So just like with his arms, he's got a pretty good range of motion throughout his legs, so that's always nice to see. And I don't know why I forgot to tell you, but the toes can move. They actually move individually, but I'm a big dummy and I didn't record that. I apologize. So getting into accessories first, starting off with the first weapon, which is the Storm Rifle, or as I like to call it, the Superior Pulse Carbine, because the Pulse Carbine in Infinite is kind of dog duty in my opinion. But, you know, that aside, I think Jazwares did a really good job at recreating this weapon. My only nitpick with it is I wish that the gray was a little more darker towards the gunmetal side of things, but I think the blue purplish color they chose for the shell is fine. I really like the bright blue teal color for the light up effect. I really like the sculpt on this. Jazwares really did get all those little nooks and crannies, all the little details and indents on the Storm Rifle. And overall, one thing I can really appreciate on this is the little HUD that they painted, because I know they never really paint the ammo counter on the assault rifles, but in wave 6 they started painting like all the little HUDs on the weapons, like with the bolt shot and now this, so I'm very happy to see that. And then getting into the weapon most of y'all are probably eager to see the most, and that is the Prophet's Bane Arbiter's Energy Sword that we see in Halo 5, and I have to be completely honest and give my honest opinion. I think that this is a very underwhelming execution of the weapon. I think the blades that Jazwares did do not give it justice. Like, looking at the in-game version of this energy sword, it looks like the energy sword is made out of 2 hot molten pieces of metal. It's just these bright, vibrant orange blades, and we kind of just have this peach cream kind of, you know, color going on. And then getting to the blade is a little more accurate. I remember the hilt being a lot shinier, but the overall color is there. It's more of a shiny peach cream tan color, but you know, in this iteration of it, we got it at just matte tan. And then of course we have the, you know, gray, you know, inside of the handle, and that's accurate. Just, I overall think that this is an underwhelming execution of the energy sword, but overall I can appreciate the effort because this is a very unique and cool weapon. Just kind of wish the blade was a lot more vibrant. And then getting into additional hands, he has armored and non-armored hands, so we're gonna go over the unarmored hands first. And he's got a closed fist, an open hand, and kind of this call out tactical hand going on. And then for the armored hands, he has a energy sword holding hand, a closed fist, an open hand, and a holding hand. And before we head off into some discussion, let's just see how big this guy really is with some size comparisons. Starting off with the Spartan Collection Halo Infinite Master Chief, the World of Halo Infinite Master Chief. Then we have NECA's The Jungle Hunter Predator, NECA's Alien Xenomorph, Hasbro's Star Wars The Black Series Death Watch Trooper, and finally we have McFarlane's Doomslayer. And that is everything included with the Arbiter. So here we are at the turntable segment of the video where I go over what I like, dislike, stuff like that, give my opinion, start a discussion. Hopefully y'all can branch off of that. Go in the comment section, start a discussion of your own, and I will most likely respond because I like talking about this stuff. So with all that said, let's get into what I dislike first to get that sour stuff out of the way. And the first issue that comes to mind is that he can't really look in any other direction. He can look up and down and straight forward. He can't tilt his head side to side. You can't have him look around. You can't have him like aim down the sights of his weapon or anything like that. And I know there's a lot of people who like to, you know, display their figures in dynamic poses, or, you know, have toyography where they take photos of their toys and they want really cool poses. And unfortunately, I don't see this figure being very photo friendly or display friendly unless you have him in like an A or a T pose. But, you know, it's just, I kind of wish he could move his head around and look in different directions. And, you know, that's something he can't really do. So that bums me out. And then one other issue with the figure that I have when it comes to movement is the torso. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass that the torso wants to spring forward because you want to display his legs in a certain way, like he's in a battle stance or he's in the middle of some sort of motion, but the body or the torso is just going to want to spring forward. So now you have to rearrange the legs so they can accommodate the torso rather than how you want them positioned. And again, this may affect, you know, people who like to take photography of toys or display their figures in specific stances. But it's not the end of the world. I wouldn't consider this a deal breaker, but it is definitely something to mention because this might be a hassle to some, not as much as to others. It's just something that is definitely a hassle, just depending on what kind of person you are with your figures. Depends on how big of a hassle it really is. And that's all the issues I have with the figure when it comes to the feel. But another issue that does come to mind that I think most of us can agree on is the inaccuracy of the Prophet's Bane. And, besides it just being inaccurate, how underwhelming the presentation is as well. I know I mentioned earlier how vibrant and how, grand the Prophet's Bane is in game, and I think that Jazwares just kind of gave us a very underwhelming version of it. And then the last issue I do have with this figure that might be considered a nitpick by some, and that is his eyes. We have these white soulless eyes, and in game he has these yellow piercing sharp eyes that are really cool looking, and I kind of wish Jazwares put in the effort to get those eyes down, but nope, they gave us some white soulless husk eyes that like he's dead or something. That's pretty much all the beef I do have with this figure, but getting into what I do like and starting off with the big one, I think the one people cared most about, and that is the visual presentation of this guy. Besides the eyeballs, I think that they got this guy down almost perfectly. He looks phenomenal, just the colors on his armor, the war paint, just all the little platings of armor, all the carving in the armor. I think Jazwares did a phenomenal job at nailing Arbiter's armor, and just everything about him just looks so good, and it pops out so just amazingly. And I can't give Jazwares enough credit for the amount of effort they did put into, his armor and the paint on his skin. So thank you, Jazwares, for paying attention and just doing an amazing job with our boy Felfadam's armor. So after the look, I will give credit where credit is due. The feel and most of his body is good. I like the articulation in the arms and the legs, and I appreciate how we can sort of move his torso around despite it wanting to spring forward. But that's pretty much all I will give credit for when it comes to articulation, because I'm still bummed out about the lack of being able to tilt his head, and how, like I said, the torso just wants to spring forward and be a hassle at times. So just before I give my final verdict, a quick recap of how I feel about the figure. I dislike how he can't really tilt his head or look in any other direction except for forward. Kind of bummed out about how his torso just wants to keep springing forward and be a hassle at times. Kind of wish that the Prophet's Bane had a more intimidating, appearance and representation. And overall, I think that the eyes could have been done a lot better. What I do like about this figure is the overall presentation of Arbiter with his armor and the war paint and just the paint job overall, besides the eyeballs. And I really do like the articulation that we are given in the limbs of his body, and how there is some sort of movement in his torso region besides him springing forward. So do I recommend this figure? I'm gonna have to say yes for multiple reasons. Reason one being, if you're an avid Spartan Collection collector like me, I don't see this guy getting a re-release anytime soon, or I don't see the Prophet's Bane even getting a re-release anytime soon, unless they do a 2-pack with Arbiter with Locke or Chief. I don't see this coming back around anytime soon, so this feels like a one and done situation. So get this guy now while you can before he becomes discontinued and you gotta pay a nasty aftermarket price. But if you're not a Spartan Collection collector and you're just a Halo collector, I think that this is a very unique figure, and I don't see us getting elites in this scale in any other wave any other time soon. And by that I mean once the Spartan Collection ends, I feel like if they were to continue the Halo figures, it would be in the 3 3/4 inch scale like World of Halo. So if you someday do want a big Arbiter figure, this is the chance to get one now. And with all that said, that's the video. Please tell me down below if you like this figure, dislike this figure. If you have them already, just give your thoughts down below, create a discussion. I'll most likely respond because I like talking about this stuff. But if you did enjoy the video, a like and a subscription would be awesome. You don't have to comment. I'm a lazy bastard, I get it. But if you just, like I said, want to create a discussion, more than welcome to. And don't worry about the bell. We both know that shit is broken. And if you did like this video and you want to see more like it, I do have more reviews up on the channel. I do a lot of Halo stuff, and I do a lot of Star Wars stuff, and I also do a lot of NECA stuff, specifically Alien and Predator. So if you want to go check that all out, you're more than welcome to. And, stay hydrated. Have a good day. If you don't, I'll fucking kill you.